Welcome to Accelerating AI Conference, which is the fourth one that we've done, and there's maybe some news later about what's coming next. So my talk is about building marketing teams with AI. I run a digital marketing company called Qoob, commonly referred to as an agency, right? Which is, you've heard that word a few times today, but not in the same context. However, I was thinking about it at the back, and I thought, well, that is the right word, because what we do as an agency has a lot of parallels with what we're seeing with agents coming to the market. This idea of humans being an agency and having specialists doing specific jobs, that is what digital agencies do, or have done for decades, years. We have individual specialists in SEO, developers, designers, and we bring all of that together as an agency. And that's what we're talking about here. So why does it matter now? So it's quite aptly timed. There's been a few things going on over the last few weeks, Microsoft announcements, Google announcements. But I'm going to talk about Google. We've heard a lot from Microsoft today, but I'm going to talk about Google because it's quite big in my industry. Google announced, it was within the last 2 weeks. Some of my team are at the back there. They may well know exactly when it was and point you in the right direction. They announced that AI mode in Google search has now surpassed 1 billion monthly users. For a lot of users, and consumers in particular, this is where they're starting their journey now, in AI mode. And if they're not starting in AI mode, they're probably using ChatGPT or some other AI chat system. So it's an AI system that interprets intent, summarizes options, and can take action for you. But there's some massive, massive changes coming to Google search, which is what I'll talk about in context with ads as well, because ads are changing and how they're going to be surfacing ads in Google search is changing. One thing that's coming is when you put a search prompt into Google, it will decide if it's going to be helpful for you to have some sort of interactive widget on the front end. And it's going to basically write the code and build itself in front of you. We're seeing it in ads. Ads are evolving and changing. How we run ads is going to change, where those ads surface. We're just now starting to see in the US adverts, sponsored content starting to appear in those AI mode overviews, and they're going to be coming to the UK over the next few months. And we're seeing agents start to come to the market. So what I'm basically saying is the consumer buying journey has radically changed already and is about to accelerate. It's going to be vastly different. How we all buy, research, make decisions is going to change very, very, very rapidly, because this is great for consumers and they're going to adopt it straight away. So, Gemini Spark. Just watch this. There's no sound. Sorry, guys. Have they turned the sound down on the desk? Well, there's a funky track at the back of this video, but yeah. I do need the audio for a video later, so it'd be good if we can get it working. I'll tell you what, I'm going to get it to come out of the projector, because that worked earlier. It's just a little bit quieter. So that's Google's Gemini Spark product, which isn't launched yet. It's launching in the States any time now, literally within weeks, and then it will be coming over to the UK. So this is an assistant in every single person's pockets, and if you've got an Android device, which is Google, you're probably going to have it sat on one of the main apps you use on your phone, right? Because you can ask it to go and do something, and it's just going to go off and do it. It's going to go and organize the block party. It's very American, I know. But that's Gemini Spark, which is, I guess, Google's answer to, we've heard OpenClaw mentioned. If you've not heard about OpenClaw, it was a open source project that launched back end of last year. I first became aware of it back in January. The guy who built OpenClaw was snapped up by OpenAI, and they're building agentic solutions like Spark as well. So what we're seeing in the world of marketing specifically, these are my views, and this is what I'm personally seeing. I want to kick the first one off with a little bit of a lecture, I'm afraid, on SEO and GEO. Anyone heard of GEO? You may have heard of its siblings AIO and ABC or whatever else they're choosing to choose, acronym they're choosing to use today. GEO is basically, if search engine optimization is about being shown in the search results, generative engine optimization is about being shown in AI overviews, ChatGPT and such, being the one that is recommended. My concern is that the SEO folk among us, the businesses that have always relied on organic, are now obsessing about GEO. And the reality is, historically within SEO, we were worried mainly about Google. Let's be real, right? We were worried about where we show on Google. Well, with AI agents and with different models, thousands of models that exist today, how are you going to keep on top of every single one of those models? How are you going to influence every single one of those models? And actually, when you really break it down, just run a good business. Care for your customers. Look after your customers. If they're leaving you raving reviews, you're already halfway there, right? Because that's such a big signal to these models, is what people say about you, not what you say about yourself. So don't obsess over GEO, just get the basics right. Powerful tools with sloppy execution. I'm going to show you some things that we've done with some of the very powerful tools that are out there. However, I am seeing stuff go out to market, websites that are being built, applications that are being built that have glaring holes in them, that are being launched without any real due diligence or, frankly, programmer oversight. I know of a massive firm that are launching a product and a programmer has not looked at any of the code. Mental stuff going on, but it is also extremely powerful. So I'll show you some of that in a minute. And I think this is a general statement I'd put out there is authenticity, I feel, is being eroded and consumers can see it. The moment a consumer can tell it looks like AI or it sounds like AI, you've lost it. You've lost the connection straight away. And that then sticks in their mind as being associated with your brand. So use AI, use it to help you write content, use it to write blogs, use it to do all of these things, but have a human in the loop. And if you wouldn't have wrote that, don't put it out there. Right, we did a survey before today. Unfortunately, I know people have got very busy lives, so we didn't get the full crowd, unfortunately, of survey responses. That's fine, because we're going to ask all the same questions again in a poll in a little while, which you'll all see the results. But from those that did respond, 62.9% said they were just exploring or in early experimentation with AI technology in their business. More than half are just kind of dabbling realistically with AI tech. 81% say they have someone responsible, at least somewhat responsible for AI within the business. I should have foreseen that response because everyone thinks they do. However, it would be interesting to know out of that 81%, which of those businesses it's actually the owner-operator that's the person responsible. And in reality, they're not always the best person to be responsible for emerging technology like this. You need people who are really, really engaged really, really interested, really, really curious. So is it the right people that are responsible? And that kind of speaks to the last point in my view, which is only 7% said that they had dedicated time in their diary for something that allegedly 80% of businesses have somebody solely responsible for it. Doesn't quite compute, right? So if it is the owner-operators, they're taking on the responsibility, but they're so busy running the business, they're not actually spending time on the projects. That's my takeaway from that survey. So marketing, what is it about? I think it's personally about connected decision-making in 2026. The old marketing questions would be things like, what should we post? What keywords do we target? How do we report on performance? And what tools should we use? I think the questions have changed and evolved now. What should we learn, create? More on that in a minute. Automate, publish, and improve today. I don't want you guys thinking 6, 12 months down the line. I want you to think in weeks to months. Because the technology is moving so fast, there's literally no point. There's no point that if you've got a 2-3 year business plan, just rip it up. You need to be looking weeks to months down the line. What can you implement today with the tools that are available today? Yes, how do we appear in AI-generated answers and recommendations? It is important, but just don't obsess about it. How do we spot issues and opportunities continuously when the market is changing so fast? Every day there's a new tool coming out that you need to somehow learn and understand. And which workflows within our marketing team should we redesign? Prompting is useful. We've talked about prompting for the last 4 AI events, but realistically, we're now diving into processes and identifying processes within our business that we can update for the 2026 AI era. So in my view, an AI-capable marketing team is not a team that uses ChatGPT. If your version of we are embracing AI because our team have ChatGPT licenses, that's not good enough. For me, it's a team that combines people with data, tools, workflows, and the proper governance to create measurable growth. In one line, that's what a capable marketing team is today. It's a team, in my view, where everyone understands how they can use it, yes, but how it actually fundamentally works. Because if you don't have an understanding of how it works, you're not going to spot opportunity, and you're also not going to identify risks. And in the end, everyone should feel, in your marketing team, empowered to leverage it. Then, as leaders from the top, there's a few things we need to do to enable them to have to operate at their most effective. We need to set clear business goals. We need good data and context. We need repeatable workflows within the business that we can automate. We always need to encourage human approvals, gated decisions within that journey, and we need to foster a culture of measurement and feedback loops. That's it. Job done. As leaders, that's what we need to be focused on, and then you need to empower the people in your team to take on that technology and use it. So, how are we at Qoob using AI? I'm going to show a couple of examples. So one is, building applications. So I'm going to give you one example. The problem. Let's start there, and this is where all of you should start, is what is the problem you're trying to solve, or what is the process you're trying to improve? So within our agency, we have 80-plus websites that we're hosting at any one time. That number is always growing. Within those websites, there are hidden issues. There's things that get missed all the time. The websites are constantly evolving, new pages, new blogs, new features, new functionality, new plugin updates. All of it is all changing all of the time. I sat down and worked it out, with the help of AI, of course, that there's between 350 and 500 different data points on the average website. So anything from meta descriptions, title tags, alt descriptions, schema data, blah, 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 it goes on and on and on and on and on. And these are all things that you've got to keep on top of. And we as an agency times that by 80, right? This is a hell of a lot of touch points, and we as human beings could never possibly keep on top of it. So, if that's the problem, what could be the solution? So I had a really hard think about this, and I thought, well, it'd be great if we had a plugin on every single one of our websites that collects those 350 plus data points and then reports it into a command center or a hub or something that we could see everything at a glance so we can identify where are those problem points on our sites that we can go after. Then how could AI fit into that? Well, actually, if we've got all those data points, we can use AI to help us identify and prioritize the things that need to be fixed. Some of those things, AI could actually fix. And what do I want as the outcome? I don't just want reports, right? I don't want any more reports. I get enough. What I want is actionable website intelligence, the ability to act at scale for our clients. In the end, I want to give my clients a competitive edge. So, this is quite a challenge. It wasn't going to be like writing a blog with AI. It was going to be about building an operational process, making an operational process faster, more visible, reliable, repeatable, scalable. So, created Watchtower. So this is a brand guide. This is just showing you the branding that we produce for Watchtower. I think it's quite nice. Quite a nice brand. Made by Qoob. And we built it. Right, so that is a tool that we've built in our agency. The mic drop moment. It's built in 3 days. That's the plugin that goes out on all the sites. That's the testing. That's the build. That's the launch. 3 days. The branding I showed you, made that in 10 minutes. It looks pretty good for 10 minutes work, right? So, the reason I'm showing you that is that we as marketers, our role is changing, right? It is changing. We're still marketers, we're always going to be marketers, but how we do it is changing. And I'm excited personally because it means I can just have an idea and do it, right? That plugin, that monitoring suite, which is going to add infinite value to us and our clients as we move forward, as we build on it and expand on it and add new features, functionality, is going to help our clients. It's going to make our lives less stressful. It's going to mean we can prioritize our team's time accordingly. Phenomenal. For me, that's a game changer for my business. For every single one of you, there'll be a problem in your business that you could solve in 3 days. One that maybe you thought, I'm never going to tackle that because I'm never going to have the time, money, inclination as to how to go about doing that. You can do it. Example 2 would be orchestrated agents. So we within our agency have been building out agents since January. And we have agents that do different jobs. And right now, my phone's pinging off with Slack messages with my team talking to different agents doing different things, collaboratively with agents. I'm just going to give you one example. Alfred, that's a screen grab from my Slack. They've all got names, they've all got avatars. It's just a way of making them a little bit more identifiable. So Alfred, he's our internal marketing guy. He's really useful. He does lots of things for us, but one of the things he does is produces blog content, because I hate it. It's always been a frustration for everybody. You know, everybody has to take it in turns to write a blog, and it's all really mundane, and nobody looks forward to it, and it ends up being 3 weeks, and we haven't put one out, right? This is one of the realities. So what does Alfred do? Well, Alfred researches on his own He finds trends. He looks at what's going on in the marketing world, the lots of subjects that we want to write about, we want to know more about and talk about. It plans ideas. It starts to think of what would be an interesting topic to talk about. It writes its own brief based on the idea it's selected. It drafts it. It designs the assets to go with it, so a featured image for the blog post heading, for example, generates it. And then what's really clever is it kicks off a self-review process. So it gives itself feedback until it's got to a point where it's happy with what it's produced, and only then does it go for human approval. So it pops up in Slack and says, here's your blog, here's the image, give me feedback. I can tell you 9 times out of 10, there is no feedback. The reason for that is this bit underneath, context and memory reference throughout. So Alfred has our tone of voice, our brand guidelines. It's got examples of stuff that we've produced in the past. It's got its own memory of all the things it's produced, and we've given it feedback on. That memory element and being able to tell it something once and it factors that into future decision making is one of the really important things about agents and what's happening now. Then it can even go ahead and publish it on the website because I've approved it, does that, just puts it on the website for us, and does the SEO stuff as well. So end to end, my involvement has been feedback, the human in the loop bit. Yes, it's good to go, approve it. No, I don't like this, don't like this, don't like this, and by the way, it's going to remember that for next time. It's not just Alfred, we've got Penny. I'll let our finance director name Penny. Penny is our finance assistant. So Penny sits in a chat with just me and my finance director, and she's catching up with the technology is the way I would put it. But it's really interesting to see her asking questions and trying to get more information out of our accounts, our cash flow forecasts and everything else. So I can, on Slack right now, I can say, how much money are we owed? What invoice have we been sent this month? Where are we against our target for the year? And I'm going to see a client, tell me if there's any invoices outstanding. The point is there, you give it data, the right permissions, the right context, and human judgment over the top of all of that. And you can start building out really, really useful agents that sit alongside and in parallel with your team. So I'm going to share some lessons from all of that, because all of that sounds great, but it's been bloody difficult. Because 6 months of, at times, genuinely bashing my head against the keyboard, because things don't always work in the land of AI as you quite anticipate. One analogy I'll leave you with, which is I've described AI and AI assistants like this as the most intelligent toddler you'll ever meet. If anyone has toddlers in their lives, or has had toddlers in their lives, they can be great. They can be behaving themselves quite nicely, and then all of a sudden they have a tantrum and don't do what they should do. Or worse, a better example would be they've always done that thing the same way. They've never had a problem making their bed. They've never had a problem tidying their room, or kids in general. And then all of a sudden, oh, I don't know how to do that anymore. No, I don't want to. I'm not doing it. I'm going to do it a different way this time. And that is how I would describe working with these agents. You need a lot of patience, and you do need to go through an iterative process. So for you guys, start with boring, repeatable work. I think you're going to get that same message from all of us. Pick one thing. Pick the thing that's going to add value and ROI pretty quickly. If you do build agents, I'm not necessarily suggesting what we're doing, but with the tools that are coming to market that make agents accessible to everybody, just make sure you give them specific bound job descriptions and roles. Don't have one agent that does everything, because that rarely works. Context, I found that's really, really crucial. It's got to have the right context. Otherwise, it will just tell you based off what it does know. And most of the time, that's wrong. So you need to make sure it has the right context from the off. Like, it can't tell me about profit last month if it doesn't have access to the P&L, right? Don't automate chaos. If you've got processes in your business that don't work already, don't try and automate that. Try and fix the process first, then look to automate. Keep humans in the loop where brand, money, customers, or compliance matter. That's quite broad for a reason. There should generally be a human in the loop somewhere along that line. And then security and permissions are not optional when agents can take action. If it has access to your Facebook page, it has access to your Facebook page. If it can post on your LinkedIn, it can post on your LinkedIn. So if you give it a vague instruction and it interprets that as, oh, and Matt wants me to post this on LinkedIn, it's going to go and do it. He's just going to go and do it. It's not always going to ask for permission first unless you ask it to. Make sure you put that guardrail in. And then you want to be measuring usefulness, because there's a lot of cool stuff that looks great with AI, but actually doesn't really do anything and is not really that useful. So make sure you go through that process I did, which is identify the problem, the solution, how AI is going to be involved, and what the outcome is going to look like before you start. As I say, just to repeat, AI will not fix broken workflows. It's just going to accelerate them. Right, and how to start. So I'm not going to go too much into this because you've had this already, and you're probably going to have it again today, which is to start with one thing in your business, one problem you can solve, and focus on it. Map the process out, add AI narrowly where it's going to be beneficial, because AI does not need to be in everything. Add the guardrails and make sure you're measuring an outcome. Then rinse, repeat. Do not build a giant agent. Nobody wants that. And it really won't be that helpful. Risks, 4 main areas. One is if it's got bad content. I've touched on it. I mean, the old adage, rubbish in, rubbish out, right? That's the main point I'm trying to make there. Data, really, really important that you assess the access. Microsoft Copilot is fantastic for that reason, because it is natively secure. Some of the open source projects are not quite so secure, so you just need to bear that in mind. Tone drift, low quality outputs, and over automation. Like, be human, guys. Like, our brands still need to speak to humans, even if we're using AI to build it, right? It's still a human on the other end that's then looking at that. So you've got to make sure that you don't become robotic. Your brand doesn't become robotic. And then tool overwhelm. I've seen it, certainly. I mean, I like to think one of those frontier firms. But the avalanche of tools and developments coming at us is just so difficult to keep up, even when you're at the front, right? So don't feel like that tool overwhelm is unique to you, because everybody's feeling it. If it's the first time you're hearing about something, well, chances are it's probably the first time somebody else in the room is hearing about that thing as well. I thought everybody knew about OpenClaw, by the way. So to not see hands go up was quite surprising to me. And that's my point, is that we're all at different stages of learning stuff and finding out about stuff, and there'll be stuff that you guys have seen and know about that I don't know about, and that's okay. So, to summarize, what we don't want to be doing is walking away from here today going, I'm going to look at that AI tool because that tool's really good. Yeah, okay, that might be the case, but the more fundamental question is, which part of our marketing should work differently now? So I'll leave you with this. Marketing has not changed. Marketing will never change. The concept of marketing will never change. Marketing has always been marketing since the days of print and before, right? Way before digital. Right? The core fundamentals haven't changed. However, how we market has, and is going to change really dramatically over the next 6 to 12 months. The best marketers of tomorrow, in my opinion, are now thinkers, builders, creators, and architects. That's where you want to be pushing your marketing towards, being able to think more, build more, create more, and design systems and architecture. And speaking as a marketer myself, it's pretty bloody exciting. So that's not going to stay up on the screen for long. So if you did want to book a meeting with me, free consultation to have a chat about your marketing and how you can use AI better in it, please do book on. You'll be able to book a meeting straight away. I think the first one's this Friday, so or next week. Thank you. That's it. Thank you very much.